You know, Brian Weed, we've had a lot of conversations about things like this, and I'm personally not the kind of guy who gets all excited about leaks and previews about games that aren't coming out for several months, if not longer. But I am still just a man, and a man who loves NBA 2K basketball.
Yeah.
And a man who loves playing in online leagues with his friends. And I am just a man who, on the various shows that we do, have directly appealed to the developers of the NBA 2K series to bring back online leagues. There are very few things in sports games that get me personally as excited to play because of the great experiences that we collectively have. And I had kind of thought to myself, okay, well, we got it in Madden. We got it in the show. We should probably just kind of be cool that that's what we got it with and roll with it. Then today, we found out that in at least one fashion or another, there are not only online leagues in NBA 2K16, but there is a very specific type of online league in that it is online MyLeague, which, if you're unfamiliar with it, the difference is that the MyLeague mode gives you a tremendous amount of creativity with the teams. Could be historic teams, current teams, and all sorts of stuff. So, yes, there was a lot of stuff that was leaked today, but wow, Brian Weed, this is the kind of league that gets this guy excited. I am pumped. What are people saying about that and the other things that have come out about what's potentially coming down the line with NBA 2K16?
Yeah, the MyLeague thing, it really, the framework was there last year for something that would work exceptionally well if it had an online integrated structure to it. If it was going to have that online element, it really was set up perfectly for that, because it is more of a traditional franchise mode, unlike MyGM, which involves storylines and unlocking functionality and stuff like that. MyLeague was very customizable, as you mentioned, and really it's just a more straightforward franchise mode, which traditionalists probably prefer to an extent. So the ability to take that online and play with other people is just about ideal. Now, I think it's important to maybe temper expectations a little bit, because 2K does not have a great track record as far as anything online goes. They've had online leagues before. They had an online association that really never worked. So we have to make sure we get this and it actually functions as advertised. But the prospect of an online league, this is certainly one of the main things out of the information today that was leaked through an achievements list. That's definitely at the top of what's creating excitement about this game. I think it's interesting, Rich, that there's 6, 7 sports games that come out in a 5-week period from the end of August through the end of September. All of those games have had screenshots, gameplay videos, features revealed. The one that hasn't is NBA 2K. All you've had are little teases at things like Spike Lee's involvement, the Summer League being added, and the soundtrack. And that's pretty much it. They haven't even put out a single screenshot for it yet. So now we get this tremendous dump of information that we weren't supposed to have and probably weren't going to learn about for a month and a half or 2 months, considering 2K's MO as far as rolling out promotion on the game. And now we have all this information in front of us, and it's pretty exciting to get an idea of what this product is shaping up to be, because they've been really secretive about it otherwise. But the online league aspect, that MyLeague Online is what it's called, that's definitely the thing at the top of my list also.
And again, it comes down to there are many different ways to play these games. There are single player modes. There are, ultimate team style modes. There are online head-to-head modes. But again, as we've talked about many times, the ability to play in an organized fashion with your friends, even if it's just a couple of friends, in the guise of a league with statistics and schedules and things like that.
Yeah.
When done properly, is just a blast. And again, it's not just the fact that the leagues are online, but again, that they explicitly couple the MyLeague, which gives you the ability to tailor the number of teams that you want, how many games you play in the season, whether you have all current teams, whether you have historic teams, whether you have a mix.
You can change around the divisions. You can You can control every team, every transaction. Right. Fantasy drafts, whatever you want to do there. It's really gives you a lot of creativity in setting those things up.
Yeah, and it's just the fact that that template is being used, taking it online. Yes. Do we know any details? No. Do we even technically know that it's happening? No, I guess we don't. Although the fact that it comes from a known source of achievement certainly lends credibility to it. But again, at the end of the day, what it means to me is that the guys making this game are listening to the fans, right? And granted, there's no way you can take all of the feedback that you get from all the different directions and just make it happen. But we've talked about why we don't think there are online leagues in most games anymore. It's hard to monetize, if not impossible. It takes a significant amount of effort to keep them going. It's more demand on servers. I mean, there's a lot of specific reasons. But at the end of the day, I mean, these kinds of things really illustrate to me how the NBA 2K team, at least right now, looks just operating at a higher level than everybody else. And I'm not disparaging anyone else. I mean, MLB The Show is great. FIFA is great. Pro Evo is great. Madden, I enjoy it. A lot of people think it's great. But just the NBA 2K series right now is operating at a higher level, and the kind of things, and there's other things that came out in this league too.
Yeah.
Just really seem to indicate that they're continuing to make something potentially very special.
Well, I think the biggest difference that you see in these games this generation is, and you say they're operating at a different level. And in terms of feature set, I'd agree, because none of the other sports games tried to revolutionize their modes, tried to innovate with their modes. 2K did. None of them created brand new modes with the depth of something like MyLeague, which was, like you said, not a money maker for them necessarily, but it was to go after a certain group of hardcore people who have been dedicated to the series. And it's those type of people who continue to drive the success of the series. And
by the way, those are several of those are new additions to the team over the course of the last couple of years. People that started off in the community and are now on the team. And I think those guys have a lot to do with it. Sorry.
I was going to say, you're giving them credit for listening. Then again, it's been about 5 years of people asking for a true online league. It's been years of people asking they want crew back. They don't necessarily listen. I mean, they hear it, but are they listening? I don't know. But what you got last year was really unexpected in the MyLeague, because nobody else is building out offline franchise type modes. And so that kind of was the indication that there's certain people in place there now that have a different focus, that can see through the short-term mentality that a lot of these publishers now have, which is, how can we maximize revenue right now as opposed to how can we grow our base of consumers over the long term. There's too much short-term mentality now, and you see that, and that's why the number of sales degrade from year to year. Maybe their revenues are going up because of the Ultimate Team type modes, but they're losing the number of people they used to have, and eventually that's not going to be sustainable. So I think it's important to look at, what are they focusing on now? Are they still going after the money-making modes? Absolutely, but they obviously have people in place who are focusing on other things and trying to give the other type of consumers something they like too. And I think that's a big difference we're seeing here with 2K versus EA and all their entire crop of sports games, and even Sony. They don't use a lot of resources in different areas for the show. But 2K, it's one of the biggest games now. It's only behind FIFA in terms of worldwide sales, so they absolutely have the resources and don't really have the excuses not to do things anymore. And so I think we're benefiting from that and seeing some of that materialize with 2K16.
I mean, I don't necessarily agree with, I think, your sentiment, although, you may be a lot more right than I am. I mean,
usually I am.
You can invest all the time and money you want in your money making modes. If me, Rich Grisham, as a player, also gets things that I enjoy, right? I mean, I don't play my team.
Right? But it's questionable whether those other games have done that in recent years.
No. I'm talking NBA, right? Like,
okay, yeah.
I'm 100,000% fine with them tripling down on my team. If they're also coming out with, another interesting news story mode, which may be a dramatic departure from the last couple of single player story modes. And they're making a functional online league centered around the MyLeague template. I mean, my God, go do whatever you want in those other modes if you're doing these things too. And again, that's to your point of, they appeal to multiple groups of people, not just going all in on the additional revenue streams. I mean, we all, we're not dumb. We all know that the additional revenue streams are why these games are able to be invested in so much. And it's nice to see the investment being spread as opposed to just being piled into the, into MyTeam or Ultimate Team.
So yeah, I think that's the difference is you don't always see those other publishers invest back into the product. They're just trying to increase their revenues year over year, and then they're not necessarily spending that money to make the product better as a whole. They're only just trying to come up with new ways to increase that revenue. With 2K, they're going to continue to do that. They're going to continue to try and make more money in MyTeam. It's what they focus on in social. But if they add this other stuff, people can live with that. And I think that's the biggest difference you see now.
Yeah, and 100%. Ronnie 2K can tweet all day about pink diamond Kevin Durant cards. Mm-hmm. If you and me and 4 of our friends have an amazing MyLeague going with our favorite all-time historic teams. I mean, come on. I mean, tweet all you want. And boy, you are cynical about these other games. Just, I feel, as somebody who plays these games, I do not feel as if I'm being ignored by the guys making Madden or NHL or MLB The Show. I get the sense that they're investing significant time and money in non-revenue generating modes. I also, it's obvious that they do more and more have resources going to Ultimate Team, but if they didn't touch anything but Ultimate Team every year, I wouldn't be playing these games. The games are better every year. They look better. They play better. The next generation has been very good to all sports games, really.
Except for, Rich. But then let's just quickly, let's turn to a game, FIFA, which sells twice as much as NBA 2K, and they tell us we can't do online franchise. It's too much money. You get excuses on things like that from some other publishers, and you don't, 2K, there's stuff 2K hasn't done too. So I'm not trying to look, get, what I mean? I'm not trying to say that 2K puts everything in. They don't. They absolutely don't. They ignore stuff post-release sometimes. So they have their own share of issues. Yeah.
Every game has its own share of issues. However, if you want to talk about FIFA for a second, FIFA, the guys have said on the Press Row podcast to me directly, it's something that we've looked into, but as of this point in time, it's not worth the effort to do it. And I totally get that. I completely get that, especially because any sort of online league with FIFA would be different. There's no direct correlate, right? Is it just the online Premier League, or is it like all of these, there's a lot more to something like that. Now, could they maybe take some of their tournaments and make them online and stuff? Sure, they could. But again, FIFA has by far no lack of things that are fun to do that are complex and online seasons, pro clubs, a fantastic single player mode. So I don't also want just sound like, oh, FIFA doesn't listen to us. I mean, all of the things that, even the simplest thing on the outside to us is complex with these games. So I'm not saying they're all amazing and perfect. I'm not saying they're all terrible. There's a balance there, but each of those can be looked at individually. But before we wrap, I want to get to what are some of the other things that came out in the league, because we basically just talked about online MyLeague, but there are a bunch of other stuff that came out. What's the sense that you get people are excited about those things?
Yeah, so that's only one of the bunch of things that were revealed in the achievements list, which is surprising because you don't see many new features come out this way through the achievements. I think companies over the years have become a little more protective, knowing these sometimes get out early. So MyGM and MyLeague. So we talked about MyLeague being online, but features that will be implemented within both MyLeague and MyGM. The ability to relocate a team, which is why I pulled out my Sonics hat, because I will be taking a team to Seattle.
And Brooklyn Nets are heading back over the river, back to New Jersey. I'll tell you that right now.
So lots of potential with that, and that along with the MyLeague Online are kind of the two biggest things people are got excited over today. But there's other features that have been missing or taken out. Actually, these two have been taken out in recent years and make their return here, which is 3-team trades in MyGM and MyLeague, and then the Summer League in both MyGM and MyLeague. Now, Summer League used to be in the career mode, so they're putting it into MyGM and MyLeague, meaning you'll be able to evaluate your younger players within Summer League within your franchise type mode, which is pretty big.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. That is pretty big because, as we have talked about in something like Madden, right? Like with when they took practice away from Madden, you really don't have an ability to try out your second or third string quarterback until the game starts, right? And there's an injury or something. So now with Madden, they're adding free practice, so you can play unlimited with your other guys and get a sense for them. Sounds like this is a great way to play those 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 guys
and your
get
rookies.
A feel for them, right? And your rookies, and maybe even development. Again, no details around it, but it sure sounds like something that is of value and sounds like fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are important additions, I think, to those franchise type modes. Now there's also some new stuff for online. We don't really know what this means yet, but there was an achievement called earn a call up in Play Now Online, which who knows what a call up means. And then there's another one, which is win all 10 games of the greatest of all time in online Play Now. So that could be related to an online Play Now with classic historic teams, or it could be related to something to do with Michael Jordan, because he's involved with this product again because he's on the collector's edition. Maybe some type of moments type mode with Jordan online. Not sure, but again, new stuff.
Yep.
That's promising at the very least.
And, I love historic basketball teams. I mean, there's just something in a video game playing with old basketball teams is just the best, because the personalities come out. You recognize Jordan and Bird and Wilt Chamberlain and, even George Mikan and Magic Johnson. Like, just there's something special. So the fact that they continue to build on this, to me, as somebody who I think it was NBA 2K12 is to this day my all-time favorite sports game because of that. I just love where this, seems to be heading thematically. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So besides that, finally, there's also quite a bit on the new MyCareer that these achievements almost guide you down the story path that you're going to be led. The first thing, which got a lot of people's attention, was announce where your college ball will be played at. So there's some college element here. Now, I don't want anyone to think this means there's going to be a College Hoops 2K built into NBA 2K. There will not.
There will not.
Is it possible there might be playable element to this where you're playing on either a few teams or a few schools they've licensed, but all the players are generic except yourself, of course, to keep them out of lawsuit issues? That's possible. Maybe just a tournament, maybe just in a tournament setting, something of that nature. But it's not going to be some extended play your career in college. But still, you add a college element, again, that's more to your storyline. You have this background to yourself. So there's the college element. Then there's announce where or declare your intentions to enter the draft. So again, you had to have been in college, or I guess you could have been in high school to enter the draft. I don't know. Can you still do that from high school now? I don't think you can. You have to go for 1 or 2 years, right?
Yeah, it's either an age limit. It's, well, at least 1 year. I think it's more of an age limit, but I mean, the age limit is a de facto. You need to go to college or overseas for a year.
Yeah, 1 year. So there's that. You're declaring for the draft. There's a bunch about a character named Vic, who seems to play a big role in this story. It sounds like he's a bad influence on your frequency vibrations character, or he creates some trouble for you. And then there's some smaller things also, like the ability to sign a max deal. So maybe, hopefully, the money you earn has some play within the mode, as opposed to just being a number, because no one ever cared about contracts really all that much. So you can be named an all-star, and you can announce a free agency decision. So there's a lot of stuff there to chew on as far as the career mode goes too. And it's this is Spike Lee's kind of crafted this experience, so it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, and again, it's more than 2 months out, but there's, I think, probably, if you add up over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, no series, no franchise has delivered as much value to me as the NBA 2K franchise is. So, this is just, it's a really nice way to sort of think about, okay, this game coming out at the end of September for another 6 months from when it comes out. I got a really good time, looking ahead of me, just thinking that these are the main, features and themes that are being developed for this game. It's just fantastic. I mean, it's not like I'm freaking out, jumping around, ready to go play now, because that's not me. And we're also playing a bunch of good stuff now.
I'll tell you what, you're not freaking out, but I am vibrating. My frequency is vibrating. Yes.
This is fun. This is all positive, right? These are the kinds of things that people who like this series, this is a lot about what we want to hear about. Look, so it's fun, and I'm glad about it.
Yeah, and if you compare what we learned today for NBA 2K to some of the new feature sets for the other games, just this alone almost blows those away in terms of feature set and in terms of substance that they're bringing in. And who knows? There's going to be a ton more, because they do not reveal everything you're getting in a achievements list. So it's a really promising start, especially for those interested in the online area.
Yeah, I mean, and who knows, right? The people who make NBA 2K are very smart. These leaks were probably planned. I mean, I'm sure this wasn't a complete accident. But who cares, right? Conspiracy theories, not our problem. Planned leaks, who cares?
Yeah.
I'm glad that this kind of stuff is going to be part of NBA 2K16. It should make the best game even better.